Well, good morning, everybody. This is Gulf Harbour Radio, chattering here in our frigid, wintry conditions. ZMH 286, Patricia and David. And, I actually put that it was clear before, but now the cloud billowing in. We had the most rotten day yesterday. I was away all August, of course. I can't really comment on August, but boy, it was a snotty day yesterday. Just gale winds in the 30-knot range. Didn't get to 40 that I saw. A lot of 38s though, and just horrible wind. Then it turned to the southwest and got horribly cold. At the moment, it's 13 degrees, and it was 12 before. I couldn't bear to tell you 12, so 13 degrees, 1009.4, and it did get down to 1000 yesterday. It's just going up again. 13 knots at the moment from the southwest, just not very pleasant. And now I reported it reasonably clear before, but it's got a few spots of rain and a little bit of a squall coming through, and so it's up to about 80% cloud cover. I tell you what, all these people that we've heard wanting to come back to New Zealand, I don't know, but we'll certainly be looking at the weather. Just looking at the reports, it looks like New Caledonia is a place to be today. From the northeast coast, Messatory report almost no wind, clear skies, 1017, and further down, Kuperi reports it's a bit overcast, light winds, southeast 5. So quite a nice spot there. Exocet Strike are on their way from Fiji to New Caledonia, Lifu actually. 3 boats left yesterday. They are currently got to 17635 east. No rain, 70% cloud cover, 1016.5, with an east-southeast 17 to 20. It is dropping now, 2 metres swell. They're ripping along, good speed, so that sounds good. And a special hello, I don't know whether you've got a radio on board, but Crazy Love, 26-foot boat, Contessa, left yesterday for there as well. Good to see such a range of boat lengths, a single-hander, so good morning to you. All right, that's about it from the reports that have come in. And, local talent has just reported that there was a rain shower to wash the salt off the boat. So there you are. That's from Port Vila. Okay, there's a very boring lot of news this morning, but as that's my job to tell you what's going on in the world, I will in fact let you know. Well, it wasn't boring in Baghdad yesterday. 2 rockets were fired into the green zone. Now, they hadn't had those for quite a while. One was actually it just breached the area around the US embassy. A third one went into the Tigris. They were 100mm rockets, so it's just not very peaceful in the Middle East at the moment. The Boeing 737 MAX. Excuse me a minute. My breakfast is catching me in the throat. Boeing has decided to pay families of those killed in the couple of crashes, the fatal crashes, one in Indonesia and one in Ethiopia. 340 people died. They have decided to pay them $144,500 each. I would imagine that's not very much, given the what will probably happen with court cases. But anyway, that's what they have started with. Russia is facing a potential ban for all sporting events. Evidently, there are rather significant discrepancies in a lab database relating to drug testing. So this is quite concerning for them because of next year's Olympics. So that's going to be an interesting one and probably quite fraught with arguments. Okay, the continuing problem of boat people arriving from North Africa and around about has forced the members of the EU, well, Italy, Germany, France and Malta, ministers got together yesterday in Malta to work out who should take all the people arriving in boats. Of course, they arrive in Italy and Malta, and they are getting fairly fed up with it all, and in fact don't want to take any more. They've had tens of thousands they've already had to settle. They want all members to be involved, but some, like Hungary are absolutely refusing to take any asylum seekers. So they've got a bit of sorting out to do there. You can sort of have some sympathy with Hungary and the other countries that are in that group, because they have seen the significant changes to society in the other countries that have taken so many of them. All right, from the sublime to the ridiculous. In Germany, a court has ruled that hangovers are an illness. Now that means that any food and beverage company cannot make claims for a morning after antidote. I can remember as a younger person taking, was it Berocca? Is that vitamin B? Heavy dose. They used to have orange flavoured Berocca, and we all thought, I don't know whether it was real or not, that a good dose of that really helped you with a hangover. Mentally, probably. But anyway, because it's now been deemed a hangover as an illness, you can't make any claims to that, to what might be good and what might not be good. Actually, a good Coca-Cola, a lot of sugar seemed to help as well, but you had to have it before you went to bed. And having
with bourbon.
With bourbon, says David. Okay, I don't think it was with the bourbon, but anyway, this particular article also said that they had done a study, over 900 people, to see whether the order that you had drink had any effect on the hangover. They only talked about beer and wine, so I'm not sure about the break in the brain. But I have to do another study. There were a lot of volunteers for this particular 3. If you have euros, 0.57, and if you have pounds, 0.506. Half price when you come to New Zealand, so it will be at least a bit encouraging for you. And do remember that with your little slip from customs, you will not be paying 15% GST. Okay, moving on to the boring news from the rest of the world. Nancy Pelosi in the US is encouraging Democrats now to weigh in on the impeachment of President Trump, and this is related to his actions with the Ukraine. Now, I haven't bothered mentioning that because I don't like to tell you things that are all hearsay and not really proven. Evidently, Mr. Trump withheld $400 million worth of arms deal that they were going to have with the Ukraine, held it back a week before he urged, this is all supposed at the moment, before he urged the Ukrainian Prime Minister to investigate Joe Biden's son, who had business dealings there. So all of this has been swinging around to and fro, and that's now pushed Nancy Pelosi to finally go towards impeachment. Evidently, she has not at this stage, because the US public really can't be bothered with that by the sound of the various surveys that have been done. They just want people to get on with running the country, which is fair enough. Boris Johnson probably feels the same way. In the UK, he has strongly disagreed with the Supreme Court ruling that came out a while ago, that the suspension, well, I'll say a while ago, a few hours ago, that the suspension of the UK Parliament was illegal. And they reckon that he lied to the Queen, who gave the go-ahead. And so Parliament will sit Wednesday, this is today, but not their time yet. It will sit on Wednesday back again. They all thought that they were on holiday, but there you are, back to business. In Germany, the Volkswagen chairman and CEO charged with manipulating the market after their diesel emission scandal. So that will be an interesting court case. And in the United Nations in New York, 16 young people, including Sweden's Greta Thunberg, David. Anyway, they have filed a complaint with the UN accusing Germany, France, Brazil, Argentina and Turkey of violating human rights by not taking adequate action to stop climate change. Greta Thunberg, she made an emotional tantrum yesterday, sort of a tantrum presentation, accusing the world of being more interested in money than controlling climate change. President Trump reacted by tweeting that she looked such a happy girl with a bright future. She looks really, really bad-tempered.
She looked like she had a little lollipop in her mouth and stamping her feet on the ground.
She was a little
bit stupid.
Yeah. I think she will be a bit embarrassed with her performance when she looks back in 20 years' time. But anyway, well, we had a Lime scooter death here in Auckland a couple of days ago. It looked like the front wheels locked up, and the young man, not wearing a helmet, of course, went head over the front and hit his head and died shortly after. He was going about 20 kilometres per hour, and that was the end of him. I think he was only a very young man too. All right, let's have a look at streaming. As you can see, there's not much news. I was sort of grasping for anything of interest to anybody today. Where are we? Hi, Candy says hello. They're back in Port Vila after flying down to Tanna to look at the volcano and various other things in Tanna. 23 degrees and calm. Very scratchy radio. Yes, it's not very good today, but boy, it was excellent yesterday. And here's Dash on this morning. Good morning to you. They're underway tomorrow, Fiji to Opua. I think David will be talking about that shortly. There's a few people who are looking to go in the weekend and early next week. So, boy, I do hope that we can get this weather a little bit more encouraging for you. You absolutely would not have wanted to have been anywhere in New Zealand with the gale winds we had yesterday. Boy, they were really, really nasty. Anyway, we'll see what David's got in store for you. Is there anybody with anything else before we get underway with the weather? All sounds peaceful out there. Hopefully those of you that are at sea are enjoying it. I know we have a couple on their way to across to Australia. Gracious lady, good morning to you guys. Here's David.
Okay, good morning. The 500 millibore charts are pretty similar to yesterday. The shortwave troughs still helping to pummel the Tasman and New Zealand, as Patricia has mentioned. So we'll take a look at the jet stream, something different for this morning. It's running west to east. The axis is about 30 south, and the streak, the jet streak, is just north of New Zealand. And this, again, is an area within the jet of very high velocity air. Now, the polar exit is encouraging uplift. Remember, there's four areas that either lift the air or push the air down. The polar exit is one of the areas that encourage uplift. And when we view the surface synopsis, we'll see the result of all of this uplift between the shortwave troughs at 500 and the jet stream up there at 250 millibare. The complex depression, that's it. Multiple low centers, cold fronts cover the Tasman, New Zealand, east of New Zealand, even a low center over the Chatham Islands. Now, one front in particular runs north. It goes up about 170 west. Then it decides to arc west directly over the cruising route, cuts it right in half. The edge winds up being about 80 nautical miles south of New Caledonia. It doesn't quite push up to New Cal. And the other end of it, the butt end of it, if you will, is near the Coffs Harbour, Harvey Bay area. So you can see how large this frontal band is. Here in New Zealand, we have gale warnings up for most of the North Island. By Friday, the bad weather will finally have moved east, probably out to about 160 west by then, and a new high starts to move off of Oz to lie roughly 30 and 162 east, 30 south and 162 east. Central pressure 1027, approximate central pressure. So it's fairly strong. And as it sounds like many of you want to make the passage from the islands to New Zealand now, I was told next week. Now we're hearing that people have already gone. So I decided to look at what I heard before, and that was people leaving on around the Monday time frame. And departure on Monday does look reasonable at this time. Even now looks reasonable at this time. Southeast trades, give or take on the direction, are going to prevail right through next Friday, another week from now, in other words, uh, down to about 30 south. As our high, the one I just talked about, moves its center to just north of New Zealand, and that'll put it at about roughly 30 and 170 east, and weaken somewhat about 1024 millibar. So the way it's oriented, you'll go through the axis, and when you do that, the winds are going to shift to virtually the opposite direction. So they'll be mostly westerlies at that point. So by Monday, a week, not this one coming up in a few days, but the next one, a depression is going to be found at the bottom of the South Island. And winds then for the North Island are more or less going to be westerly quadrant winds. Um, so far, strong winds don't appear to be evident, are not in the cards from what I can see now. It's possible that the passage may be an acceptable one. Doesn't look too bad at this point, but things do change. But that's what it looks like now. In the tropics, moving up there, the main feature is our Solomon's Trough again. It runs east to that little disturbance that we discussed yesterday and the day before that. Then the trough moves on to Rotuma, then on to Samoa, very close to Samoa, and then to the southern Cooks. And we find another trough that's affecting the northern Cooks, almost a permanent feature there. Taking a look then at Tonga with imagery now, satellite imagery, Babao doesn't look too bad at all, but the Papais, Tongatapu, they're fairly cloudy there, mostly cumulus, stratocu. So expect cloudy periods. There'll be some isolated showers thanks to all of that. Nighttime temps are fairly cool. The winds, well, they look fairly light today. I'd say easterlies, maybe even east-northeast for the highs. Only about 10 to 12 knots in that range. Tomorrow, a little bit stronger, but not much. Southeast, about 10 to 15. The winds are going to pick up Saturday, probably to about 20 knots. Well, not much else to say about Tonga. Boring tropical weather. Better than what we've got. Over to Fiji, where Rotuma is getting the good news with that active trough creating a bit of chaos up there. Imagery for the main group shows scattered or broken cloud, quite a bit of stratocu, typical stuff in a high pressure ridge. Possibly a shower or two comes of this, but I would say mostly fine weather. You know the old story with the big islands and the orographic effect because of that, causing the air to rise and getting the showers. That's an everyday occurrence up there. So I just say that from time to time because you'll see it if you look at Fiji Met. Anyway, quite cool at nights, as you found out. Winds are expected to be moderate east to southeast, 15 to 20. About the same thing tomorrow. And again, same as Tonga, winds are going to pick up Saturday. I would say southeast in the 20 knot range. Monday, though, light air comes back east to southeast about 10 to 15. So those of you that do leave on Monday would have a pretty good departure wind scheme, if you will. A few observations. Vanua Balabu east 11, 1021 on the barometer. Matuku southeast 6, 1019 there. Ono Ilau southeast 8, 1021 on the barometer. Nandi southeast 4, 1018, 1018. Nassori over there towards Suva, northwest of 3, not much air at all. Just air coming down from the hills. Barometer 1019. So as you can see from these, and from those of you that have just reported in, and thank you very much for that, conditions are not bad at all for Fiji. Every now and again, a little shower, but it's the tropics. Now, to Vanuatu, imagery shows actually some fast-moving rain-bearing cloud moving south right through the chain. These clouds are moving very quickly. More intense cloud is to the north of the banks and looks like they're moving toward the chain. Whether they get there, and if they get there, they'll drop some moisture. Hard to say at this point, but that's what it looks like may happen. I would expect then a pretty good chance of brief showers, along with fresh winds east to southeast, getting up to 25 knots to the north, but about 15 to 20 knots for the central and the southern areas. And seas from that will be about 2.5 meters. Winds look to remain moderate to fresh through the weekend, staying fairly consistent there for Vanuatu, mostly southeast, give or take on the direction. A lot of it is controlled by the islands, as you who are there know by now. Getting from Port Vila to New Caledonia is not going to be easy this week. You'll be hard on into quite fresh winds, so probably not a good idea. We had a good shot at it last week, but this week doesn't look very good at all. New Caledonia shows scattered to broken on imagery. Winds not bad at all. Southeast around 10 knots for the southern lagoon, perfect for the Elos. About 15 knots for the loyalties. Tomorrow, southeasterlies maybe getting up to 15 knots, or in the 15 knot range. Expect some scattered showers out of this. Winds will probably pick up a little bit tomorrow afternoon. The loyalties 15 to 20, and I think favoring the high side of that range. And we may see gusts up to 30 in showers for Uvea. Now some actuals this morning. The outer reef east-southeast 12. There you go, nice conditions. Ile de Pan, southeast 5. Light showers this morning, they report. Temperature 15 C, chilly. Noumea, northeast 7. Barometer 1021.5, 1021.5. And Uvea reported southeast 19. And those of you as a bunch going to New Cal from Fiji this week, you're going to have winds going to New Cal from Fiji. Which one is this?
Oh, I thought you said to Fiji.
No, wait that for. Okay, those of you going to New Cal from Fiji, winds are going to be a pretty good direction, east-southeast to southeast. They'll be fresh, probably 20 knots in the mean, a little bit more, a little bit less, depends on the type of cloud that you encounter and gusts thereof. Arrival, New Cal, nobody has given me an arrival date, but if it happens to be Sunday, you could expect northeast winds around Havana Pass, around 15 knots. So very nice arrival winds, good wind direction for arrival too, if that's the day you get there. So that's the story. Good luck to the boats that are heading to New Zealand, and hopefully you have a lot of warm clothes. Well, you would have, wouldn't you? Because you did leave mostly from New Zealand. All right, here's the chief. I'm not going to be here anymore.
And yes, he just reminds us that he is not here tomorrow, folks. In fact, I presume, seeing as this is really meant to be a weather net, and he is not here tomorrow, that I won't be either. Not much point in coming on with news. So we will not be on the radio tomorrow. But I'll make him work now. Just to, could he have a look, please, at leaving this weekend? I assume that because leaving now is okay and leaving next Monday is okay, that possibly leaving in the weekend is okay as well. But anyway, we'll have a look whilst I'm talking here. Yeah, we're not on tomorrow because of the dreadful traffic around our area. David has got a track day down in the Waikato, And really, you cannot risk leaving early in the morning because of having to get from here to Auckland and through Auckland. So he's leaving later today. So anybody who wants anything between now and tomorrow afternoon will have to email. Our email address is ghradio@extra.co.nz. And one of those people wanting to leave is local talent and news from them. They have to get to New Zealand because they've decided to get married. Dean and Gail, congratulations. We actually did that. Where did we go? We were in Colombia and managed to do that. So yes, anybody that can sail together really has a good long life ahead of them. So good decision there. What else is there? Have you had a good look at maybe leaving on the weekend? I'll pass the microphone.
I assume you're talking about Fiji, aren't you?
No, he's leaving Port Vila.
Oh, from Port Vila.
Yeah.
I've got to change my screen. Well, let's say if you were leaving from Fiji, that's okay too. You'll have nice fresh winds out of the east probably when you get down below Kindavu. About 20 knots out of the east. But hold on, I'll give it back to the chief and I'll switch screens.
All right, can't be on the wrong screen. Just a reminder, folks, if you are really valuing the weather and etc. that we put on for you throughout the season, please think of either a thank you email, or if you go to our website, you'll see that I have set up for those that would like to contribute something to the costs here, and they are significant, especially when I mess up the website and have to pay for it to be resurrected. I set up a TransferWise, so you don't have to worry about currency, and it does work. One person used it from the UK with pounds. It does work. You can use either pounds, euros, Australian dollars, or American dollars, or New Zealand dollars. So it's very, very easy to do. If you would like to make a small contribution to the costs of running this particular venture, that would be really appreciated. And if you don't want to make a financial contribution, just thank you, so that we do know that there are people out there and we're not talking to ourselves in the mornings, or not to more than a handful. So that would be much appreciated, and I shall put the microphone back to see what it's like getting from Port Vila. Not an easy trip, that one. We've done it a few times, and it's a little bit difficult. Here's David.
No, it's not an easy one, leaving from there. That particular island group seems to be cursed with its directional, the way it faces in terms of its spot on the earth. But anyway, you're not going to be too happy, I don't think, because looking at Saturday, the winds, well, like I said before, will be fairly fresh. You're looking at about 20 knots. The direction's not too bad on Saturday. East, southeast maybe, but what I don't like is going then into Sunday and Monday as you start to head south. The winds then start to veer, and that means we're talking about southeast winds. So between Port Vila and Anishem on, say, Monday, you're looking at about 20 knots out of the southeast. That is not going to be a fun thing to do. You're going to be very hard on the wind. You'll probably be motor sailing and bouncing your little heart out. You might get down to Anishem, where you might want to wait a little bit, because even into Tuesday, from what I can see, it's still going to be southeast winds. All of this is due to the shape of the new high, the ridge that sticks out from Australia. Below that, we have a big depression over New Zealand, and that's skewing the shape of what looked like a very pretty looking high. So what it's doing, it's pushing the bottom of the high. It's just sort of pushing it so that it's not round anymore. It's more elongated, and that puts the axis at about 24 south, and everything above that axis is about southeast. That's the direction of the wind. So if it wasn't for that low, that could have been a very good trip, I think, because you would have been on the backside of the high, riding down quite nicely. But let's put it this way: as you know, we don't give advice. If Chameleon were going to do this, we wouldn't. But you're younger, stronger, and all that. Who knows? You could try getting south. That's the other option. Getting down to Anisham and making a break from Anisham when it does finally settle down. It cuts a lot out of the trip if you can get that far south. But it's not going to be fun getting to Anisham, I can tell you. So there you go. Good luck.
Yeah, boy, we almost get to, a couple of times almost got to New Caledonia. You really do have to swing around from there and then hope for a change of wind direction backing or something to get from there. All right, that's about it. We will not be on tomorrow, just another repeat, not on tomorrow. If you want to do some study of weather getting to New Zealand and different options, don't forget, if you go on to the website ghradio.co.nz, there's a few papers there about what to consider, and that will give you something to do while you are waiting. Okay, the frequency's all yours, folks. We'll be here for a few minutes in case anybody wants to call. But other than that, we will be back again on Friday. Anybody who wants anything between now and then, the good old email. Cheers all. Well, good morning, Alan, Quintessa. Yes, I had to find out where you were. Where are you? Over. Well, I can't hear him. Is it Amber?